Good afternoon, class. Previously, we talked about the databases and online bibliographic management software that are basic for this class, which include EBSCO, and we used Academic Search Complete as a gateway for EBSCO. This list also includes LexisNexis, WorldCat, and the online bibliographic management software that I mentioned is RefWorks. So we are all familiar with that now. And as I promised before, now I'm going to show you more databases. Some of them we will just visit them today, and well, you're expected already to be familiar with the way of searching them. It might be similar to some other databases you already know. And as I mentioned, some of them we might visit today, and you're not going to see them again in our other classes. You might actually see them on the exam, some questions related to them, especially on the final. Of course, there will be exam review before the final, where we will discuss briefly some of these databases again. Okay, so let's see some more databases now that will definitely be useful for our other classes and for any other situations when we need to find information. Okay, let's invoke the browser. Previously, like in the past few days, I had to switch from Google Chrome actually to Internet Explorer because sometimes there could be some problems associated with a particular browser. So be prepared that if you encounter some difficulties, then you can switch from Google to the Internet Explorer or vice versa. Okay, let's start our search with Google, because at least our website was kind of built in having Google in mind. But the databases actually, some of them might be working better with Internet Explorer. And Firefox, Mozilla Firefox could also be used, and Safari maybe in some situations. Again, this is all interchangeable, so you should be flexible and switch to another database if necessary. However, the disadvantage of this process might be when you use RefWorks, for instance. You have to make sure that then all the windows are in the same browser. Because if, say, your EBSCO is in Internet Explorer and RefWorks you opened in the Chrome, it might not be working properly. So make sure you're using the same browser for all the applications that you utilize for your research. Okay, this is our library website. We all remember how to get there. If we don't, we can get to the Medgraver's College website, which is www.mec.cuny.edu. And then once you get to that page, you can click on the library link, and it brings you to this site. Here, this must be already very much familiar to us, this pull-down menu, which, by the way, has a new interface and has a few glitches. So kind of beware of that. Then we click on Search All to see the full picture, all the databases we have. And here we got to this list. It used to be the table a few weeks ago, and then they switched to these lists. But the contents is pretty much the same. General reference is the first heading, general reference. And you can see then that general reference databases, the idea is that they should be in alphabetical order, but maybe there could be some exceptions to that. Okay, so you can see some familiar names like RefWorks. We're not using RefWorks today, we're just kind of going through the databases. And by the way, many of them have features allowing you to export into the RefWorks, similarly to EBSCO, similarly to LexisNexis, or similarly to the WorldCat. But some of them might be less advanced, and they're not going to have those features. You have to be prepared for that. And of course, in situations like that, if you want to use RefWorks, and you'll definitely have to use RefWorks for the projects for this class, especially for the online bibliography, the final project, then try to use databases that have that feature. If they don't have that feature, then you can create a record manually, say, in RefWorks. But it'll be more work, of course. So you have to find the resource and then enter the information manually into the RefWorks. Okay, there is a way of doing it. Let's start from the beginning, and we are familiar with Academic Search Complete, which is part of the EBSCO aggregated database, EBSCO families of databases. How about we check Academic OneFile, Gale, which is not as user-friendly as EBSCO, that's why EBSCO is our first choice, but which might be quite useful for our purposes too. Academic OneFile, which is Gale. Gale is another big family of databases, another aggregated database. And I'm going to click on it. And on the bottom, it said that it was waiting for the response. Okay, you can see another brand, well, you can see the brand name Gale here. SendGauge is their sub-brand, and InfoTrack is another brand name, because it used to be a separate aggregated database, InfoTrack, now it's part of Gale. So if you hear people referring to a database as InfoTrack, you know that they're connected to Gale now. Okay, now the search tool. This one is the basic one, and you can start with this one to do your research, and you can also do advanced search. That will be more similar to the EBSCO default screen, although EBSCO, of course, as we all know, has a basic screen search too. So let's click on advanced search and see what happens. And you see it looks very much similar to EBSCO, right? Okay, so what are we going to search for? Shakespeare and Hamlet, for instance. A very general kind of search. We're using one Boolean operator, and here we don't change anything. They're all keywords, although you can see that it gives you a very inclusive menu. We're using the keyword.
Okay. What's it put in?
Shakespeare and Hamlet.
Shakespeare and Hamlet. Shakespeare, then and is there already by default, and then we put Hamlet. Okay, if you need an extra row, it's like an EBSCO, you click here and it adds you an extra row. Okay, now some delimiting, so we will use limiters. To documents with full text, we can limit our search to documents with full text only. To peer-reviewed publications only. And you see it gives you other options like documents with images, if you want to have some chart or something. If you need it for your research, then you could do it. Exclude this documents type, and it gives you more options, but these are our kind of generic, most common options. Full text and peer-reviewed, and these are, by the way, exam questions, midterm questions. What are those? Full text and peer-reviewed, but we'll discuss it some other time. Some more. We already discussed it in the past. Okay, then I'm going to click on the search button. Search. And here our results. Very similar to EBSCO, as you can notice, right? By the way, you see, sign in. If you click on it, follow the steps. You can create an account, and similarly to EBSCO, to have an account. But it's not mandatory for this class. You can use it anonymously. Only EBSCO and RefWorks accounts are mandatory for this class. Okay. Now, these are like short records. And you can also see little icons here. View full text article and PDF page. Perfect idealism in Shakespeare's Prince Hamlet. And gives you a brief summary. View full text article. You can click on it. In this particular situation, it's in HTML format. You can download. If you click here, follow the steps. You can email it to yourself. Click here, follow the steps, or print. Citation tools. Oh, come on. Citation tools, let's check what they have there. They're offering their own citation tool. EasyBib and Node ProCite. RefWorks, actually, yeah, it could be sent to RefWorks too.